We're here with House Speaker Kurt Zellers. We're talking about the upcoming 2012 legislative session. And Mr. Speaker, thank you for being here.
My pleasure, Nick. Good to be with you.
Thank you. And this year obviously marks a transition from a budget year to a bonding year. How else will the focus change this year? What are the top priorities for your caucus this year?
Sure. And we've been very upfront and very aggressive in pursuing our Reform 2.0 agenda. Looking at a number of things that either we didn't get done last time, improving upon some of the things that we really did work on with the governor, whether it be House File 1, some of the permitting process to speed that up for our businesses. But then a lot of it is going to be reform for the sake of reform this year, maybe not reform for the sake of, we got a $5 billion budget deficit to hold to fill, so if you're going to reform something, what's the price tag that goes with it? Now it's really going to be about, for what we're doing, are Minnesotans getting the best for the dollar for what they're spending? Is the program up to date? Is it something that's seen its usefulness and maybe we should move on? Maybe we should actually include it in another agency or with another program so that we aren't duplicating or wasting those dollars.
Are there any particular areas you're looking at right now?
I think it's across just about every spectrum, and also working with folks within the agencies, working with folks whether it's in the Ag Department, whether it's in Health and Human Services, Education, but really working with people within the system to say, you know best what's going on in your agency or what you're seeing with the folks that you're helping out. How can we do it better? How can we actually get more dollars to the people who need it, to the programs that need it, to the roads that need it, versus just putting it into the bureaucracy, letting it churn around in there, and maybe we get 70 cents, 80 cents on the dollar out the door. Let's see how much we can actually get into those projects.
Well, let's go over some of the issues that might come up this year. How about a bonding bill? How big do you envision a bonding bill will be? What kind of projects would you like to see funded?
Sure. I told Chairman Howes that zero is probably not enough, and $1 billion is way too much. So if you fall within there, we think that the need has to define the size of the bonding bill. There's all kinds of really important needs out there. But is it a necessity? Is it something that has life, safety of Minnesotans involved? Or is it something that'd be really nice to have and we'd really like to have that, but it maybe isn't one of those needs that is an emergency or something that's going to have a lot of impact on a lot of Minnesotans' lives. So we look at it that way. I think the bill passed out of the House floor and the Senate floor last year was really pretty amazing. I think we had over 100 votes here in the House. That's a pretty good number for my recent memory of bonding bills. So I think that's probably a pretty good indicator that it was probably a little vanilla by most people's standards, but because it did fund just basics, HEPRA, local roads, local bridges, updating an HVAC system in a building, taking care of the infrastructure we have before we maybe start adding on to a new set of priorities. So I think that you'll see that as probably the #1 focus from us from a bonding bill.
How about a new Viking stadium? How high does that rate on your list of priorities? Is that something that absolutely must be done this year, or is that just a maybe?
Sure, and thankfully it just became the questions are close together. It doesn't fit into the bonding bill, just in case people were wondering about that. The Viking stadium is one of these things that as you get to those deadlines, it's kind of like studying for a final. Everybody waits, nobody does any studying for your final in September, but as you get closer to December and the test is coming up, then people really start to crack down. I think you've seen a lot of progress, probably more progress in the last 60 days than you have maybe in the last 6 to 8 months. So I think that's a good start, but what we've maintained all along, this has to be a good deal for Minnesotans. It has to be a good deal on location, has to be a really good deal on financing if there is going to be public support, and none of it's going to come from that budget surplus. But then it also has to be a good infrastructure. Are we going to have to, 10 years down the road, look back and someone says, boy, they put that in the wrong place. You never should have put it there. We don't have the roads there. We don't have the access there. We don't have public transit there. So it has to be a good deal for the taxpayers all around. And if that comes to fruition this session, nothing precludes it not from happening. But I really think a lot of those things need to really gel together and very quickly early in session so that we can get through the details of it. And one thing that I personally think, and just because I have friends in the home building business, everything right now is at a lower cost than it was maybe say 3 years ago or 5 years ago. Looking at the price tag of the actual structure and then looking at if there are ways to save dollars that way instead of just saying, well, cost is $1 billion, that's what we pay, maybe making sure that we're getting the best deal.
How about constitutional amendments? Last year, the marriage amendment was passed. Are there more coming forward this year?
Well, I think it depends on where the members of the caucus are as well on that. You know, I think photo ID, we've vetted that fairly thoroughly through, I can't even remember how many committees, 6, 8 different committees. We had a lengthy debate here on the House floor. So I think that's probably been pretty well vetted. We would like the governor to sign it. We included some provisions that he wanted from a fair election standpoint in the last bill that didn't garner his signature. So I think our members are of the opinion that if we try again, but if not, that's something that the voters should really decide. And it has vast, vast support among Minnesotans. One
part of this summer's budget agreement that was sort of controversial was the market value homestead exclusion. Is that going to be revisited this year in any way?
Well, I think our methodology or rationale for that process was right now we're not fulfilling our obligation. Everybody who believed that all the market value homestead credit money was coming from the government and getting to the taxpayers was mistaken. We were at some cases, my community, Maple Grove, I don't think we ever received market value homestead credit, let alone the full amount. I know for a fact we didn't receive that. So rather than continuing a program that we would put in place but then not fund, we took that money out, and it was about $89 million out of a $34.2 billion budget, put that back in, and then backfilled $30 million into what's called the PTR program, Property Tax Rebate Program. So when you actually, and that's actual relief from us and state government to the individual homeowner. So we believe that direct relief is better, and then the transparency in government. We had a number of folks on all kinds of different sides of the issue say it's probably best if you're not going to fund the program to do away with it. There's maybe been some Monday morning quarterbacking or Monday morning excuses for why they were or weren't supportive of it. So I think, but if the number one goal is to get property tax relief to those that need it the most and directly, we think that that's probably the best way to go. So if there are some other needs there, if there needs to be an increase in the property tax rebate program, we prefer direct relief to taxpayers instead of it going through a government entity.
Okay. How about jobs? Governor Dayton and the DFL came out with their version of a jobs plan yesterday. Sure. Will you be, well, first of all, what do you think of theirs, and will you be coming forward with your own version?
Traditionally, our friends in the DFL believe that a jobs program is passing a bonding bill, which is state borrowing, and there is some value in a temporary funding for some of these projects and getting matching dollars, and those workers undeniably go to work. But we maintain in our caucus, and I personally believe that if you want long-term sustainable growth, you do it in the private sector, not in the public sector. So you don't pass a bonding bill, you don't have a cash for clunkers program, cash for windows, a cash for refrigerators. We've seen what happens when the federal government tries to stimulate areas of the economy through government spending. If you free up the entrepreneurs, the hardworking women and men of our great state, they'll build you an economy that is then sustainable, and we'll lead the recovery instead of waiting for it to come here. Passing a bonding bill is kind of like a stopgap until the rest of the economy picks up. We believe with private sector job growth, that's the best way to do it. How do you do that from our perspective? Stay tuned, we'll have some things on that, but what we've heard from business owners all across the state, the regulatory process is too long, it's too cumbersome, and it costs too much. And when we say cost too much, whether it's lawyers, whether it's accountants, whether it's a good example is the upfront exemption for buying new equipment. It's supposed to be, by definition, upfront. In a lot of cases, business owners have to wait 6 months, 8 months to get back that sales tax exemption that they were supposed to get, again, upfront. So if that, and if it's in the case of my dad, he's HR, he's marketing, he's the accountant, he's the bookkeeper, so he doesn't have the time to sit and look through the right form and wait and then file it properly. So he's going to have to hire somebody, whether it's a lawyer or an accountant, to get that upfront sales tax. Many Minnesotans are doing it, and if you want to see real growth, a new piece of equipment, a new truck, a new processor in your plant, that new equipment will mean more jobs for the workers to run it. That's how you actually can stimulate the economy. So we believe getting the private sector back on its feet and in a very sound, stable financial position in the state of Minnesota, that's how the economy will be rebuilt. And unfortunately, so far we haven't seen that, but we're going to offer many opportunities for the governor to really agree with us, work in a bipartisan way like we did last session.
So right now the plan is to end the session by April 30, and there's been talk of even earlier. Why is it important to have a short session this year, and how confident are you that that will happen?
Well, first and foremost, we've only budgeted for a very short session. The amount of money that we spent in our budget is just for that session. We don't believe that we need to be here in a long time. This is traditionally the bonding year. We did a bonding bill last year that was pretty substantial, almost $500 million. So there are some members of my caucus that don't believe we need a bonding bill, period. If there was a budget deficit, which thankfully so far there's not, usually there's a correction in that budget, so we don't need to worry about that. So we're really looking at some reform ideas, presenting them. A lot of them aren't new ideas, so we don't believe we need to take a lot of time revisiting and kind of rehashing those issues. So we'll get them in, pass them through the House and the Senate, and get them to the governor, hopefully for a signature. We really look for him to work with us in some of these reforms. If he vetoes them, I mean, that's his choice, of course. That's purview of the governor. But we really believe that that's the best thing for Minnesotans. The longer your government is in session and at work, it can be dangerous for the private sector. And so we believe it's just a matter of just not only fiscal prudence, but a matter of if there isn't work to be done down here, we don't need to waste the taxpayers' time.
Is there a chance that some of the partisan gridlock that happened last summer could occur again this year? What would you say to a citizen who looked at what happened last summer and says, why wouldn't it happen again this year?
Well, I think the budget deficit is probably one of the biggest indicators of that. Coming from 6.2 when we first got here down to 5.1, 5.50 from the February forecast. That is a lot of heavy budgeting to do with a whole bunch of new people, 33 new members in our case in our caucus here in the House. That's a lot of folks that haven't been here before, that just to understand the process. And as a buddy of mine who works in finance said, he goes, so let me get this straight. You guys are going to spend $34 billion for 2 years, and you're going to plan out how to do it in 5 months' time. He said, as a business guy, he goes, that doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's your process. So I think the sheer time and the magnitude of the session last year made a lot of that, a part of that. But I would say to the taxpayers, to the voters of Minnesota that are concerned about that, is we're going to do our darndest not to have that kind of happen this year. We are going to work with the governor. We've proven we can work with him on a number of reform initiatives. We're going to focus on that this year, and the fact that we've now got a budget surplus, we hope to grow that and then not return to those deficit years anytime soon.
And as Speaker, how do you balance the need to compromise and get things done with the need to stay true to your principles?
Well, I think if you're upfront and honest right away, I mean, there's no surprise, I don't think, with Governor Dayton that my family are all small business owners. My stepdad's a farmer, my dad's an engineer, so that's where I come from. That's why I got involved in this process, was to look out for the small business owner. No offense to the big business owners, we like Target and Best Buy and those folks, but my job, or what I see my job down here, is to look out for those small businessmen and women across our state. So when you start with that, just being upfront and true to those principles, there are some things that, like I said, the end of the budget last session, the education shift is nothing that I would have preferred, but Governor Dayton wanted a tax increase, and I didn't prefer that either. So if it's of the lesser of the two, I guess that would probably be our compromise on that. And then some of the things, again, if the governor doesn't agree with us and vetoes the bill, I can do my darndest, and I'll try and be a good salesman and help him see the benefit in it. But at the end of the day, if he doesn't choose to sign those bills, that's okay too. I mean, we'll keep asking. If you don't ask, you don't get. And we'll ask in a nice way. But then, if he doesn't sign them, that's what elections are for as well. So the voters know at least where we stand and where he stands. And maybe they'll prefer that. Maybe like a good balance of a Democrat governor and a Republican legislature. That way no one gets everything that they want.
So let's take a look back at your first year as Speaker. You're 1 year into that role. And what are some of the challenges that you've experienced and maybe some successes you had just at running the caucus?
Sure. Probably the biggest challenge is the number of minutes in a day. There's just not enough time in the day for phone calls, for meetings, for having 72 members, or basically 70 other members. Representative Dean and I, the majority leader, we're fine with each other. We don't need to talk very often, but making sure that you touch base with all those members, and then also the members of the DFL caucus too. I talked to a number of them, especially when we were talking about the Viking Stadium, and a number of them called me saying, I don't want to come down during Thanksgiving break. So that's part of the job. And then also making sure to be very up close and in close contact with our nonpartisan staff too. We have a fantastic group of folks that really help make not only this chamber, but the entire legislature run in a very efficient and effective way. So that's probably the biggest, time is just not, no commodity you can recreate. and that I wish we could, because there's not just doesn't seem to be enough minutes in the day. And with two small kids who really are the center of my world, you know, it becomes a matter of quality time, maybe not quantity time. So that's been the biggest challenge. Some of the successes, I would say, at the end of the special session, we had all 71. One of our members was gone at the time, but every member of our caucus voted for those budget bills, every single one of them, as they left the floor. And in my time here, that's something, you know, you almost always have somebody that says, well, I'm not going to vote for it, but, you know, it'll pass, but I'm not going to vote for it. I think that was a real showing of unity, not only amongst our senior members, our freshman members, but as a caucus, to say, there are 5 reasons I could vote against this bill, there's 5 reasons I can vote for it, but to be a part of our team, to be a part of this as a group of people, we're all going to go forward together. And I think at the end of the day, that's a sign of a good team, is that if you've led everybody to the point where they all feel comfortable going into it together, that's a sign to me that we were successful. And I think the true success will be if everybody in the 72 are back, but maybe 7 or 8 more.
So how do your job duties change as Speaker after this session? As we get closer to the election, what sort of things will you be doing?
Well, then it'll be full campaign mode. You know, all 201 of us in the legislature are up for re-election. The governor is not. The constitutional offices are not. So the focus really will be on legislative races. The U.S. Senate race and the presidential race will, you know, they always suck all the oxygen out of the room. But once you get past that top layer of, you know, the 2 big offices, then it's down to local races. And a lot of that work will come, especially after redistricting. So there'll be a lot of, you know, introducing members to new areas in their districts, and then there may be potential for some open seats. So you'll have, you know, no incumbent in legislative seats. So that will really dictate a lot of what, you know, a lot of time we'll be spending helping those candidates, recruiting candidates, and then getting those new candidates up and running. And then, as always, probably one of the biggest parts of the job is to raise money. And it seems to be every year the race gets more and more and more expensive. Even at our local House races, the price tags tend to go up. So that'll be a big part of, you know, probably the rest of the summer will be the fundraising.
We sat down about a year ago. You did an interview with us, and you said that you had just become Speaker Designate, and you said it felt a little bit like taking a drink from a fire hose. How does it feel going into 2012? Yeah,
the fire hose is still wide open. You know, in fact, when I talked with Dave Senjum after he got elected, I said, you know, when I got into this, I thought maybe being minority leader, just, you know, the volume of work in a day and the fundraising and the party responsibilities, the non-party, and you know, the job that you do here, I thought I would be prepared. And I warned Senator Senjum that it doesn't prepare you. It really, it is. But that's also the greatest part of my job as well. It's the part I enjoy the most. That every day there's something new. It's a different experience. I tend to find that no matter what I do, no matter how I may not look forward to a meeting, you seem to learn something new every day here, and that's the greatest part of this job, why I enjoy it the most. And then you meet new people from all over Minnesota, people from outside of Minnesota that are great people that you know, care about their government, they care about what's happening down here, enough to call you, to email you, to write you a letter and say, hey, this is what really bothers me, or I'm really proud that you're doing that. So it is the hardest part to adjust to, but it's also the best part of the job. And you know, 8 to 8 is it's a pretty aggressive day, but if it's only 12 hours, I consider myself lucky. But that is still definitely, it is a 24/7 job, and I enjoy it, and I really am honored that my caucus and would choose me to be the Speaker, but also that the citizens of my district give me a chance to come down here.
And what has the impact been on your home life? Is it difficult to find enough time with your family?
Yeah. It is, you know, and you've probably seen down here, we are a very family-friendly legislature, so I don't think there was maybe one day where we didn't have, you know, someone's, you know, kids, cousins, nieces, nephews come up here on the House floor. And luckily, my wife's a school teacher, so we can spend a lot of time together in the summer. And I think, and it's just like in any job, when I used to work in the private sector, I would travel a lot, so you really work on having good quality time, maybe not quantity time, but you work on having good quality time. And luckily we make sure and adjust my schedule around dance recitals and hockey games, and it means a lot to me to be able to do that, because as I said, my kids are absolutely the center of my world. So my wife and I do a really good job of trying to keep that our main focus, and no matter what, this is all very important work, but at the end of the day, my kids are absolutely the most important job for me.
Well, do you have any final thoughts about as we get ready for session?
No, that I'm very, very proud of our freshman class, the work that they've done, and I think as we move into some of our Reform 2.0 initiatives, you're going to see a lot of hard work. They spent hours and hours around the state, number of miles traveled and hours in meetings, and have really put together, I think, a very thoughtful agenda. In my time down here, I don't believe I've ever seen an agenda so well put together and ready to go, literally the first day of session in my time down there. And I say that with all due respect. I was I was in some of our leadership teams when we were in the majority before. So I'm really proud of the work they've done, and it's really to be a part of that. And as Speaker, I'm supposed to be the leader, but in this case, we really are led by our caucus on this, and they've done a fantastic job. Some of these initiatives literally come from an eyeball-to-eyeball meeting with a business owner, with a mayor, or a city council member. So really proud to see that true representative democracy in effect, and you'll see a lot of great things come to the floor this year, and hopefully we'll, I believe in our members' ability to talk the governor into signing a lot of them too.